I get asked pretty often how I got here, like in this office, associated with the club, AutoFair. It's a rather long story. Might be easier if I just show you. By the way, welcome to the office. It kind of started a few years back, and really has more to do with my wife than you might expect. I'll tell you what, let's take a ride. I'll show you the vehicle that really kind of got it all started. It's got a wild story. I think you're gonna like this one. Really kind of started back, I don't know, 2013, 2014, something like that. My wife and I have always wanted a collector vehicle of some kind, but didn't have the means or opportunity until one day this opportunity came to us. I traveled a lot for work. We had a location up in Raleigh, which is where my in-laws are from, old Raleigh area. And whenever I could, I stayed with them. Well, I pulled up at the farm. My father-in-law had his 1974 Ford F100 chained to a tractor, and he was dragging it out of the woods. Apparently a young man had come to him and showed some interest in the truck, and he'd agreed to sell it to him for dirt cheap. The young man never showed up. So my father-in-law decided he was going to drag it down to the scrap yard and see what they'd give him for scrap value. When I saw that, I immediately called my wife. That's exactly what we were looking for. That truck she rode to school in, my father-in-law drove that to work every day, had a lot of memories, and we didn't want to see it leave the family. So I told my father-in-law we wanted to buy the truck. He said, let me think about it. So I called my wife that day at the office. She said, whatever you do, do not let him sell that truck. So that evening when I got back to their house, I told him that we were definitely interested, we wanted it. And I offered him what he had negotiated with the young man to buy it for, and he said, nope, I'm not selling you the truck. I was super disappointed. He said, I will sell the truck to Karen though, but not for the price that you've offered. I will sell her the truck for $1. And then he said, you will regret the day that you ever did this. He said, that will be the worst dollar you ever spent. He said, this truck has been nothing but problems. He said, you will regret buying it. He said, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want you to call me later and tell me everything that's wrong with it. He said, just, you're forewarned. So I went into it with full knowledge that I paid $1 for a truck, and it was worth every penny and maybe not much more. So I know what you're thinking. You buy a truck for $1. You can't be too picky on what condition it is. But I like to tell people when we got it, you could stand flat-footed in the bed on the ground. In other words, there was more air in the bed than there was steel. Its first wash we did with Ajax and sandpaper, if that tells you anything. Had ages of tree sap and lichens and mold and I don't know what all kind of mess growing on it. She was in rough shape. But we spent some time rebuilding the suspension, going through the fuel system, rebuilding the carburetor, got it running. Ironically, before we rebuilt the carburetor, it's in great condition. You would press the accelerator and the accelerator pump was gone, so instead of spraying fuel into the carburetor, it would spray it out onto the hot intake manifold. Great, I know. But we got all that corrected, got it driving good enough that we could get it back to Charlotte. So we hopped in. My daughter in the passenger seat, my wife in the chase vehicle. We drove the 3 hours from Raleigh all the way back to Charlotte in this old 74 pickup truck. We really weren't looking to do a restoration on the vehicle. Like I said, we just wanted something cool to, take the trash to the dump, maybe go get some ice cream. But as life happens, my wife and I were out riding around, and I mentioned I had quite a bit of holes in the bed. Well, it had just as many, if not more, holes in the floorboard. It started to rain. And as happens, with no floorboard, the rainwater was coming up at my wife in the cab. She was actually using the floor mat to shield herself from the water. And at that point, she vocalized that I needed to do something about the floorboard. So that started the very long restoration process. Took a week off work, invited my dad to come out to the house, and we spent a week cutting out the rust, cleaning everything up, putting new floor pans in, tidied up the interior. That was gonna be it. Now it's a good running truck, feel confident about it, we're good to go. No, that's never it. Shortly thereafter, I'd pulled into the garage for something, and with a carburetor, admittedly, I'm not the best at tuning carburetors. I did some research, did my best, but I never could get the fuel smell out. That was something that always concerned her. So I ended up converting it to fuel injection. Seemed small enough. Well, then it was out in the driveway one weekend. We had a pretty big rainstorm. I opened the driver's side door and there was water in the floorboard. I looked up underneath the dash and water had been leaking in and coming down around the little fuse block. But I knew that was going to be a problem. And here I'd invested all this time and energy. I didn't want to have it ruined by stopping short. You know how the story ends because I got a bad case of the wire addicts. Fixing that problem led to exposing another problem that led to exposing another problem. Next thing I know, I've got a fully restored 4-year project. The engine's been completely restored and converted to fuel injection. The transmission's been completely restored. The brake system's been completely gone through. You probably tell by the stance, it's a little lower than it would have been from the factory. Remove the overload spring and squatted it down a little bit. Without going into too much detail, we'll just say custom exhaust. Did the entire interior. The dash, we put white dash faces on. First one ever in the country to do that. This nice, crisp, clean metal surround on the dashboard. You never see them look like that. That is very, very high-end paint pen. Now the Pops logo here, this is actually a shout out to my father-in-law. That's what we call him, as Pops. So I had to put a little ode to Pops in here. This is a seat out of a 93 F-150. And I found that at AutoFair, which is a good reminder. If you're restoring a vehicle or just like old vehicles and old parts, AutoFair's for you. This coming year, 2027, April 8th through the 10th, probably half this truck came from AutoFair at one point. You gotta be there. Started working on the body myself, shaved the stake holes, decaled the letters in a cool red color. I was doing okay with that as an amateur, learning where I can and doing what I could. And then a good friend of mine approached me at church one Sunday and said, hey, I got a deal for you. He owned a body shop. They just bought a new house and they wanted to remodel the kitchen. I happen to be in the wood industry. He said, what if we do a little trade? You do my kitchen, I'll finish the body work and paint your truck. So now we're in it all the way. Now there's pretty much nothing on this truck that hasn't been touched. Brand new bed floor. This bed I said was rusted out. When we got it, there was a sheet of plywood and some old like horse stall mats. That was the bed of this truck. At the time I was doing the restoration on this, I was doing some consulting for Worth. One of the Worth companies, they specialize in stainless fasteners. So a lot of the fasteners on this truck used to put this truck back together are stainless steel fasteners. And we have the roll pan. Now I get questioned about this roll pan pretty often. When I got the truck, it had a big like tow bumper on the back. I took the bumper off and realized this truck never came with a bumper. I found the original bracket that the license plate hung off of underneath the bed. The license plate and a single light bulb above it would have illuminated the plate hiding underneath the pan, underneath the bed. I went with the roll pan instead of the bumper. And I'd love to tell you there's some elaborate reason and design choices and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, with the bumper, it wouldn't fit in my garage. All right, I'm gonna give you a second to guess what color white this is. Take your time. 3, 2, 1. Holler it out. Whatever it is, you're wrong. Everybody thinks it's Wimbledon white, and that was the plan for this truck. This truck is actually primer white. When my buddy Chad was painting it, he got all the body work done, got it in primer. It looked amazing. He called me up, said, dude, you got to come see this thing. Me and my wife drove over. As soon as we walked in to the shop, we saw it. in primer white and was like, clear it, don't do a thing. So I guess technically you could say it has no paint on it. So back when we were restoring this truck, I was doing a lot of traveling for work. So there's parts of this truck literally from all over the country. If I was in Norfolk, I would hit up Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and look for any parts that we were missing. This rear window came from Chattanooga, Tennessee. That, I struck a deal with a guy, bartered with a friend of mine, got it over at his office. He was coming to a meeting in Charlotte, and I got him to drive it from Chattanooga, Tennessee, all the way to Charlotte. Engine rebuilt. So this has the original 360 big block. So I mentioned we pulled the engine out of this thing, had it rebuilt. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention someone really special. My buddy Randy, he's down in Atlanta. He's like an engine savant. I think he owned a shop or two, but anyhow, I placed a call. He drove all the way up from Atlanta to help me put this engine back in after it was rebuilt. He drove up from Atlanta, 4 hours. We put the engine in, plumbed it, wired it, fired it, took it for a test drive, and he drove back home that night. 1 day turnaround. Everybody needs a good friend like Randy. I was told by the guy that rebuilt it, it's an FT block. Didn't know there was a difference. I always thought they were all FEs, but whatever. It's a 360 block. Obviously, I put the valve covers and the chrome breather. That's good for at least 35 horsepower. But what we did do different when we put the fuel injection on it is I had to put a 4-barrel intake. So other than the stroke length, I believe this is essentially the same as a 390 at this point. They were both the same block, but this is the original block. When we converted it to fuel injection, the way this system works is use the mechanical fuel pump to pump fuel into a canister, which is hidden right here. Originally it was up higher. I had problems early on with it vapor locking. So the fuel would get too hot, begin to turn to vapor, and then the truck would shut off. And I wanted it to look as original as possible. So I ended up fabricating this bracket and moving this canister down. One, it gets a little better airflow down, and two, you don't really see it when you open the hood. So the mechanical fuel pump fills this canister. Then there's a high pressure fuel pump in the sump of that canister that feeds the throttle body, the fuel injection throttle body, that then feeds the engine. Pretty neat system. So I get asked about my ammo can. What is this and why is it here? Well, why is it here? Because clearly there's room for it. There's room for all kinds of stuff. So what's in it? Well, just about anything you'd need to work on this truck. Whole front end going through, added power brakes. Besides the carburetor smell, the other reason I want to do the fuel injection is my wife Karen, if I happened to be out of town when I was traveling back then, now with the power steering, power brakes, put a new steering box in, and fuel injected throttle body, my wife can get in this thing, fired up, and drive it to work like it's a Honda Civic. It's a far cry from I want to take the trash to the dump on a Saturday morning truck. But that's okay. We've enjoyed the process. It has been a lot of fun, and we love this truck. Her name is Myrtle, by the way. This is Myrtle. This is her grand announcement, I guess, on the interwebs. So it's a good family truck. We've had a lot of fun in it, had a lot of good times. We've had a bunch of family photos taken in it. So Myrtle is the only vehicle that we have ever owned that is not for sale. This truck will be with us until we pass it down to our daughter. So don't even ask, not for sale. The other thing you can't ask me is how much money I've got invested in it. That's a secret. I'll never share that. But anyway, this is Myrtle. She's a good driving truck. Listen, friends, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and the new thing, hype. I don't even know how that works, but apparently it helps a lot. We really, really need your help. Please just take a minute. Do that now. For an amateur restoration, I'm pretty proud. It's not perfect, but you know what? We love her. Catch you on the next one.